Hello, and welcome to Inventors Helping Inventors. I'm your host, Alan Beckley, inventor of the Wonder Wallet. If you're an inventor searching for proven ways to make money with your invention, if you dream to see your product selling in stores everywhere, you've come to the right place. There's no better place to get help than from experts, inventors who've already achieved success. Every week, I interview successful inventors, asking them the questions you want to know. Tune in to learn from the experts so you can get your invention out of the tank and into the bank.
Yeah, I was living at the Jersey Shore, and there were 15 of us in the house, all the cousins and nieces and nephews, and we had 4 dogs and all these people. I was cleaning my shower walls and bathing dogs, and it just was endless. It was messy, it was time-consuming. I was filling a bucket over and over.
Welcome to episode number 560. Today, I interview Lisa Lane. Lisa Lane is the inventor and founder behind Rinseroo, the viral slip-on hose that makes rinsing, cleaning, and bathing a breeze. With more than 7 patents to her name, Lisa has turned everyday household frustrations into innovative, problem-solving products that sell across major online retailers. Her inventive journey gained national attention when she appeared on ABC's Shark Tank, where she walked away with a coveted golden ticket from Lori Greiner. Since then, Lisa has built a thriving product line and continues to inspire other inventors with her candid stories about persistence, creativity, and bringing ideas to life from sketch to shelf. When she's not developing her next invention, Lisa shares real-world tips on navigating manufacturing, e-commerce, and the roller coaster of entrepreneurship, proving that big ideas can start right at home. You'll want to listen to this entire episode where Lisa reveals how her time on the Jersey Shore in a beach house with 15 people and 4 dogs and constantly having to clean out showers led to her invention, the Rinseroo. Also, she shares how she learned from Lori Greiner 4 keys to developing a hero product that can be a hit in the marketplace. And finally, why she believes that inventors must act on their aha moment great ideas instead of worrying if someone else has already done it before. Now let's get right to our interview with Lisa Lane. Lisa Lane, it's a pleasure to have you on the podcast with us today.
Thank you, Alan. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
You bet. Lisa, can you share a bit of your background with our listeners? Like, where did you grow up and go to school, and what did you do before you became an inventor? Could you share that with us?
Sure. Yeah, I'm born and raised in New Jersey. I grew up in Edison, and I went through high school in Edison and then eventually went to University of Delaware. And my first job out of college was a pharmaceutical rep. I did that for a few years. And then I actually wrote a book about how to become a pharmaceutical rep. That was back when Amazon was just a bookseller. I wrote a book, started selling that on Amazon. And now I've turned into an inventor.
That's a fantastic story. And by the way, just for the sake of our listeners, what better place for an inventor than Edison, New Jersey?
Exactly. Yeah. I think Thomas Edison, gosh, how many inventions did he have? I think it's over 100 or something crazy. I've actually visited his light bulb museum, which is in Edison. So maybe that was the impetus to me getting started as an inventor. I don't know.
Speaking of which, can you briefly share with our listeners the aha moment, the event that happened that caused you to invent your innovative, multifaceted rinsing and washing flexible hose called Rinseroo? Can you share that with us? What was that aha moment, the problem
Yeah,
you looked to solve?
sure. Yeah, I was living at the Jersey Shore, and there were 15 of us in the house, all the cousins and nieces and nephews, and we had 4 dogs and all these people. I was cleaning my shower walls and bathing dogs, and it just was endless. It was messy, it was time consuming. I was filling a bucket over and over to get the job done, to clean my showers. And I just thought there's got to be a better way. And I literally had that aha moment in the shower. I thought, gosh, if I could come up with something that I could attach to the shower head that maybe could slip on and off easily, I could be onto something. And that's where the aha moment started.
And as I'm visualizing this, I'm presuming this is effectively a beach house.
Yes, yes.
And so you got a lot of things going on. You got a lot of people there, people going to and from the beach and tracking sand in and needing to wash the sand off and getting in the showers. So it's a little heavier duty than the average person's home or apartment in that regard.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. But you know what? You don't have to have all that chaos to find a use for a Rinseroo. It's really useful for any house. Anyone that
Yeah.
wants to clean a shower or bathe a dog or what have you.
Yeah. And we're definitely going to dive into that. I guess what I was just stressing is you had a circumstance on steroids that gave you the aha moment. If it was just in your home or something, you might not have thought of it.
Exactly. Yeah. Very frustrating.
Yeah. So watching some of your videos, it appears that the Rinseroo can be readily attached without tools to almost any faucet or shower head or water source. What would you say is the biggest problem that it solves for consumers in a way that no other product does? Could you share that with us?
I just feel not every house has a handheld attachment. A lot of times you'll find like a master bath has one. Inevitably, there's a spare shower with no handheld. And it's just when you go in there and try to clean the shower walls, it's not convenient to have to fill this cup or a bucket over and over to rinse cleaning fluid off the walls. Or if your dog needs a bath, again, going back to the bucket scenario where you're constantly filling the bucket to clean the dog. And not everybody wants to install a handheld in every shower. They're expensive. Not everyone is a plumber or wants to hire a plumber. Some people are renters that aren't able to swap out their plumbing, and it's just convenient for people that need something quick and easy to attach to get the job done.
I like that a lot for a couple of reasons. I'll just use myself as an example. I have a home, but I don't have a handheld shower device like you're talking about. And I have washed the shower in much the way you described, except I just use big cups of water and rinse down the side of it and then throw a bunch of water on it and use the shower head and try to get to it. And yeah, so the Rinseroo would certainly have made that much easier.
Absolutely, yeah. I always say with the Rinseroo, you can even stand in there fully clothed, which is another perk.
Yeah, you don't have to take a shower, right? So you can clean it.
People clean their showers while they're in the shower, and that's not always convenient.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Well, since we're on a podcast and people can't literally see it, can you describe for our listeners how the Rinseroo looks and functions? And also, would you say, are there other competitive products on the market to the Rinseroo? Can you share both of those thoughts with us?
Yeah, the Rinseroo is honestly about the simplest thing that you can imagine. But sometimes the simplest products are the greatest problem solvers, right? So imagine you have a hose and there's a little housing piece on the end of the hose. And in that housing piece is a silicone stretch connector. It slips over the shower head and that's it. It's got a spout on one end. That's the original Rinseroo for shower wall cleaning. So it's got a rubber connector, a hose, and a spout. Simple. Then we came out with another version that attaches to a tub spout that has a thicker connector, also a hose, and that one has a spray head on it. So just very basic, very simple products.
It hits a couple check boxes. It hits a lot of check boxes, but one of them is, and you know this because in one of your videos, you really made this clear. Consumers want things to work out of the box. They don't want to read instructions. They want things to be really obvious. They don't like to use tools to do much of anything. And sadly, even when you give them very straightforward, I've had people on the podcast with this, one page, 8.5 by 11 instructions, you find that they don't follow them. Quick side story, you might find some humor in a gentleman I had on the podcast who has invented a product specifically for washing dogs in a tub that is a little like yours in some ways, but it's adapted to using the shower head and then brings it down to a sprayer on the other end for washing the dog. And he did this because he did some studying and realized that it frightens a dog when this big blast of shower comes on them because there's nothing in nature that's even vaguely like that. And that's one reason they get distressed when people would wash them in the bathtub. He thought it was so obvious that it would have to be gravity flow to work, right? You hook it to the shower head and the dog's down below and you're rinsing it. But they had people wanting to return it, saying it didn't work. And when he'd ask what happened, they had it above the shower head and they wondered why there wasn't any flow going to it. And it was just a little one-page instruction, but somehow they weren't getting it.
It's interesting, especially consumers on Amazon. They're used to just looking at a video or a picture and then they just click and purchase. And then they're just very eager to attach it. Yeah, it is challenging. You want to keep it as simple as possible, but even you can put just a couple bullet points on there and someone just might never look at it. And we have a gravity fed, the Rinseroo is gravity fed as well. And that we get feedback from customers all the time. Oh, it doesn't work. And then I just try to troubleshoot. I'm like, what are you doing with it? What are you attaching it to? And sure enough, they're attaching it to a tub spout and trying to stand up and take a shower with it. That doesn't work. It's a challenge.
Sometimes you'd think it's common sense, but it's not always so common.
That.
The reason I highlighted that, and you've shared it as well, is for our listeners to recognize one of your jobs as an inventor is to do the best you can to what I call optimize the user experience, to make it as easy for the user to access and use your product as possible, and recognize they've got a lot of stuff going on, or they at least feel like they're very busy. They're not going to tend to read instructions. So the simpler and easier you can make it for them, the more they're going to like your product and be likely to refer others to it as well.
That's very true. Very good tip.
So I want to mention, this is very exciting, that you and your son showed the Rinseroo on Shark Tank and received Lori Grenier's coveted golden ticket. Now, I want to stress for those who maybe don't watch Shark Tank all the time, Lori only awards one golden ticket each season to a particularly outstanding product. So that's quite an achievement, not just success in Shark Tank and with Lori Grenier, but getting the golden ticket. So could you share with us a little bit about how that transpired? And secondarily, what was it that impressed her so much with the Rinseroo?
It's interesting because it's hard enough to get onto Shark Tank, let alone the golden ticket. I was totally thrilled, but I was surprised. Honestly, I had never heard of the golden ticket until I was preparing to be on the show. You look at all the previous episodes, you're trying to think, what could they possibly ask? You don't want to look like a fool on the show. And when she brought the golden ticket out, I was like, oh my gosh, she's actually giving us the golden ticket. I was totally surprised. But you know what? I think what made her give it to us, obviously, the Rinseroo is right in her wheelhouse. She loves consumer products, mass market consumer products. But the real trick, I think, was that we read her book. I'm forgetting the name of the book off the top of my head, but it's a very popular inventor's book that she has. And we read it. And when we got onto the show, I told her face to face, I said, Lori, we read your book. And in the book, it says, how do you figure out if your product is a hero or a zero? And I read the book, and the more I read, the more excited I got, because I was like, oh my gosh, this product is a hero. It's demonstrable. It's mass market. It solves the problems. It's affordable. And I just got so excited. But the fact that we wooed her on the show, saying how great her book was, I'm sure she sold a lot of books too, because of our episode. We just connected through the book. I thanked her so much for her advice. And it was just the combination of great product and the book and the whole thing. It all just gelled together and it was magical.
Such a great story. And it does lead me to one side story that I think our listeners would find interesting, and you might find interesting as well. Is one of my early episodes was with Aaron Krause of Scrub Daddy. And he was talking about, he did much the same when he went on Shark Tank, in that he studied all of the different sharks and knew, okay, Mr. Wonderful is going to be focused on this and Mark Cuban be focused on that. And he said, man, I got this whole thing figured out. And so he's just about to go on air, and they said, hey, they talked to him and they said, hey, we got this there's this new woman on Shark Tank, Lori Grenier. And he goes, oh no, I don't know anything about Lori Grenier. She's brand new. I haven't been able to study her. It's just, so he thought, well, it is what it is. And when he went on with her and she saw Scrub Daddy, she was suspicious that he was switching on her because she was suspicious that it could soften in warm water and be used like a sponge, but it hardened otherwise, so it could be used as a scrubber. And so she said to him, and this may not have even been on air, she said, I'm sorry, but I just don't believe that. I've seen you use two different ones. And he says, ma'am, would you like to come down here and try it for yourself? When she came out, he had some for her and she tried it. And she goes, oh my gosh, this really works. And then he ended up making a deal with Lori Grenier. So that was his story.
Wow. Yeah, it is good to know who the sharks are, that's for sure, but that must have been a little stressful for Aaron. Yeah,
It's
he's
amazing.
gone on and made, gosh, I've lost track of how successful he is. I believe he's the number one selling brand on Shark Tank.
I
It's
think it's
just
700 million. Something like that.
unbelievable. He's also from New Jersey. Yeah.
But anyways, there's another quick side story in that somebody said earlier on that, oh, this is something you should take to QVC. And he lived in Philadelphia area, I think in that same area, right? And he said, what's QVC? And they said, it's on selling on television. The studio is like 30 miles away in Westchester, Pennsylvania. He goes, oh, okay. He'd never even heard of it.
Oh my
And
gosh.
he did end up going on QVC as well. But
Good for him.
anyways, as we roll towards a close, Lisa, are there any parting words that you'd like to leave us with?
It's interesting. I first of all appreciate being on the podcast. Thanks so much for having me. But I think the greatest thing about having an inventing podcast, it's so useful to so many people out there. I found in my inventing journey that there are so many people out there with great ideas in their heads, right? For whatever reason, 95%, I don't know what the numbers are, they never act on it. They say, I'm too busy, I don't have enough money, oh, someone else must have done it. I started this when I was 53 years old. I feel like sometimes you never know how great your idea might be. I always encourage people, if you do have an idea, don't just say, oh, someone else has done it. Really dive in, read a book, go online, see what the potential is. And sometimes you may find that it really is worth pursuing. And I certainly am so grateful looking back that I didn't just say, I bet someone else has done it. So I like to encourage people that have ideas to go for it. You never know what the future has in store.
That's really an excellent point. And I think that creatives are inclined to be people who are creative people, who are inventors and others. They're inclined to come up with lots of ideas sometimes, but they're not always great at sort of the business side of things, of persisting and persevering and step by step and laying out plans and really doing things. And it gets discouraging, right? Because you get lots of no's and things like that. And you soon find out that it's going to be 2 or 3 times as expensive as you initially thought. It's just the nature of business. And I think people sometimes, as you just described, with great ideas, either they just don't pursue them, or they pursue them for a while and run into a roadblock, the first one, of course, and they just give up.
Yeah. And I'm sure your podcast has really motivated a lot of people. I think you said 560 podcasts. That's great. It's such valuable information that you offer.
Thank you for that. And then my last question for you then is, how can our listeners reach you if they have other questions or would like to purchase a Rinseroo?
I'm always available on LinkedIn. I love to connect to other entrepreneurs that way. I'm always happy to have a meeting or chat. I feel like we learn so much from each other. But if anyone wants to buy a Rinseroo, Rinseroo.com. Of course, we're on Amazon.com, Walmart.com, Lowe's.com, Chewy.com. But we're 100% e-commerce. We're 100% online. And if you do a Rinseroo search on Google, you'll find us.
That's fantastic. And just for our listeners, it's Rinseroo is Rinseroo, right?
Yes. Thank you for clarifying because it has been misspelled a few times. Yeah.
So Rinseroo.com. And your name, Lisa Lane, if they do search on LinkedIn for Lisa Lane, or do they have to look for something else like Rinseroo?
There's a lot of Lisa Lanes out there. It's like a last name of Smith. There's a lot of us. So I would do Lisa Lane Rinseroo on LinkedIn. You could definitely find me.
That sounds great. Lisa, I want to thank you so much for being on the podcast with us today and sharing your journey and your insights, the things you've learned as you've created not only this product, but other products as well. And I'd like to reserve the opportunity another 6 months or a year to get back with you and see what you've got going on at that time.
I would love to, Alan. Thanks again for the chance to be on the show. And again, thank you for your podcast and for all the information that you provide to so many inventors out there. So grateful.
It's fantastic. Thanks a lot.
Okay, take care.
Thanks so much for tuning in to Inventors Helping Inventors. If you like the show, please tell your friends about it. Make sure to subscribe in iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts so you won't miss a single episode. Talk to you soon.